From CBC Podcasts comes an intimate new audio drama.
Everyone feels the same way when we fall in love, right? But what if I'm a puzzle piece forged in such a dysfunctional factory that when I meet my perfect match, it's a disaster? How did I get here? I fell in love.
Asking for It. Available on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Asking for it.
Welcome to Nobody Told Me. I'm Jan Black.
And I'm Laura Owens.
We're very proud that Nobody Told Me is a media partner with the 2020 Palm Beach Masters Series, which features the world's best show-jumping riders and horses competing in 3 world-class events: the World Cup, Nations Cup, and Palm Beach Open. We've been talking with some of the riders who've trained for years to compete at this level, learning about what motivates them and how they deal with disappointment and success.
And joining us on this episode is one such rider, accomplished show jumper Jennifer Gates, one of the top under 25 riders in the U.S., president of Evergate Stables, medical student, and daughter of Bill and Melinda Gates, co-chairs of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We sat down with Jen to find out more about how she copes with the ups and downs of such a challenging sport and how she balances medical school with riding at such a top level.
Jen, tell us first of all how you got into riding.
Yes, so I got into riding when I was about 6 years old. I was trying a bunch of different sports and activities, tap dancing, basketball. Was not really good at any of them, my parents would tell you. And I said that I wanted to learn how to ride horses. So we found a barn about 45 minutes from our house, and I started doing lessons there. We started with grooming, tacking up, all of that stuff. And then about 6 months later, they had tried to let me canter 2 or 3 times, and I fell off every time. So they told me I was not allowed to canter anymore. I could only trot. There's this older quarter horse named Leo. He was adorable, but I just was super incompetent. And so eventually I went online and found a barn closer to my house. That ended up being the barn that I stayed with for the majority of my junior career, and they introduced me to the towels, who were super influential in my career. It all kind of came together.
And when did you decide you wanted to compete?
So I was at this barn and I started looking on eBay for a pony. I don't know why I thought that was the best place. I was also looking for a mini pony. I don't know why I wanted a mini pony. And they told my parents you should really lease a pony if your daughter wants to do, the short stirrup or start competing. And it was this 20-year-old pony named Penny. She was adorable, just one of those horses you would put a quarter in and it just goes at the grocery store. You just sit there, you do nothing. And so that was the first time I started competing, was with her. And then I think over time, there have been moments in my life where I've thought, I truly love the horses so much, I could do this without competing and be completely happy. But the opportunities have just presented themselves, and I never thought I'd do the jumpers, and now I'm doing the jumpers, so it's all just kind of happened.
Tell us about when you decided to really take it to the next level and be a top-level show jumping rider.
Great, yeah. So I think I started doing the jumpers when I was a freshman in high school. By my junior year, I'd realized that if I really wanted to be serious in the sport, there were great opportunities down here in Wellington. So I approached my high school and asked if I could do tutoring, do online sessions, and bring my curriculum down here for 2 winters. So I think that's when I really started getting serious about it, was when I could spend the bulk of my time around the horses, training with 4 or 5 every day, and just getting in the ring a ton.
It's at that time when you're thinking about college and what you're going to do afterwards. You're in high school and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? So what were you thinking? Were you thinking, I want to take this as a professional in the next few years, or I want to go to college, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I really picked college solely based off of what I thought I was interested in. I knew Stanford had an amazing human biology program, and I've always been interested also in marine biology, and they have a good program for that. So I really picked the school based on the programs they had. I thought I would stop once I started at Stanford.
Interesting.
I thought I would maybe keep 1 or 2 horses on the side. But I was able to meet a few other athletes like Lucy Davis, who was able to compete her whole time during Stanford. And it kind of gave me the idea that okay, maybe this is possible. Maybe it's not impossible to do both. And once I started there, I loved it. And the program was so flexible that I ended up just being able to keep doing it. But I always knew I wanted to go to college. It was always something really important to me. And I knew that I wanted to go somewhere where I could pursue my passions outside of the sport.
And now you're doing medical school plus competing. So
my God.
Does it get any tougher than that?
So it's been an interesting journey. I will say I feel grateful to have had the role models that I did going into Stanford. Even my now fiance, who was just totally a friend at the time, was someone who had gone to Stanford and done the riding. And so I had these great role models. Starting med school, I don't know anyone else who's tried to do both. So I've had to find other people who have done other professions and keep riding as part of their life and use them as role models. Also just carve my own way a little bit, knowing that it's so hard to know what every year is going to look like. It's been challenging to balance both. Med school is way harder than undergrad ever was, but I'm just taking it kind of 1 month at a time, honestly.
We were reading about you dealing with your undergrad studies, that it was difficult for you. Some of the science classes were tough. And we were thinking that would be so inspirational for some of our listeners to hear, that you made it through and you made it to med school and you persevered. How did you do that?
Absolutely. Okay. So in high school, I loved chemistry. I was great at chemistry. It was awesome. I enjoyed the equations and everything. I got to Stanford and was taking general chemistry intro, and just found it so difficult. And my friends did too, but I was like, wow, did I get here and realize that I'm not smart enough to do this? Like, maybe a serious medical profession isn't for me if I can't do these classes. So I got through that quarter, took the class, did okay, and then was thinking, I don't think I can go to med school, because if I can't get through these classes, if I don't feel comfortable in them, how am I ever going to be a doctor? I had an amazing teacher who subsequently became my advisor. It was a class called Children's Health Disparities. And he mentioned to me this program at Mount Sinai called FlexMed, which is designed for students who want a non-traditional path into the medical field. So the requirements are slightly less. You still have to complete most of the science courses, but it gives you a lot of flexibility in your undergrad career. So I applied to that program, got an interview there, loved the program, fell in love with the school, and was accepted, and then realized that this was really what I wanted to do. And then I had to go back and finish chemistry, because that was a prerequisite. So I went back, finished chemistry, took physics. I did both of those my senior year. I think I was one of the only seniors in the class. But for some reason at that point, I had just realized I can do this. Like, if anyone's telling me I can't, it's just myself. Yes, it's going to take extra hours. Yes, I'm going to have to go to office hours, and my weeks are going to look busy. But if I really stick with the material, I think it's that growth mindset of anything is possible if you just really believe in yourself.
So you're finishing your first year of medical school. Have you decided what area of medicine you want to pursue?
So I think I want to do primary care, either pediatrics or family medicine or OBGYN. So much could change, obviously. And I feel like I've been exposed to my other classmates who have interests like surgery, which has been really neat. But I've always been interested in like pediatrics. I think you can do so much for kids or help them be on the right path to thrive as adults. It's just a super formative period, and I've always wanted to do that.
And now that you've had that first year combining med school and riding, was it easier or harder than you thought? And can you continue the rest of the way?
So it was harder than I thought. Everyone told me that it was going to be hard going into it. No one had this exact experience, but people who had started med school said, med school's super hard. You're going to be drowning in work. And I didn't really know what to take of that, because I felt like I had been able to combine both before, and I didn't want to knock myself out of being able to do it before I had even started. But it is more content than I've ever seen. The human body is just unbelievably fascinating, but there's so much to go through in such a short period of time. So I think that once I start rotations, which is third and fourth year, probably won't be able to ride as much. So figuring that out and what that looks like for me, but I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to do it right now.
Our Nobody Told Me conversation continues in just a minute, but first we want to tell you about Rothy's. It's the company making stylish shoes and now bags for women and girls out of eco-friendly materials like repurposed plastic water bottles and marine plastic.
Rothy's come in an ever-changing, exciting variety of colors, prints, and patterns. I love the look and feel of my black pointed toe flats by Rothy's. In fact, I'm wearing them right now. It's Rothy's best-selling shoe, the Point in black, and it has more than 3,000 near-perfect reviews.
Like mother, like daughter. I also own the Rothy's black pointed toe flats, which I'm also wearing right now, and they are so comfortable. They're fully machine washable, as are the great new bags Rothy's is introducing. Rothy's spent more than a year perfecting their new bag collection, and the results are stunning. You just have to check them out.
Absolutely. And Rothy's always come with free shipping and free returns. There's no risk, so there's no reason not to try them. Do what we did and check out all the amazing shoes and bags right now at rothys.com/ NTM. The website is great, and that's where you can learn all about the shoes, the bags, and the fabulous company behind them.
That's rothys.com, rothys.com/NTM. Comfort, style, and sustainability meet to create your new favorites. We promise it. Head to rothys.com/NTM today.
What advice would you have for someone who's going into their first year of medical school?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I think not prepare yourself and get ready to shield for this horrible thing, because it's not horrible by any means. It's so fascinating, and the professors want you to get it and they want you to learn. I would say take time for yourself, for your family, for self-care, and then also really developing a routine every day that works for you so school doesn't become your sole honed-in priority. I think my first week we were doing anatomy, and so we were working in the cadaver lab doing lectures at the same time, and I just was like, there is no way I'm going to get this unless all I do is study. I didn't really sleep very much. I just kind of lost my routine and I lost my way. And I think that if you can have those variables like friendships, exercise, sleep, all those things established before, it really helps make the transition easier.
How much were you able to ride during this first year, and how did you stay so sharp? You've had a great year so far competing.
So much. So I took a gap year between finishing my undergrad at Stanford and starting med school, and I think that really helped my riding. I had recently, before the gap year, started working with Harry Smolders, my current trainer, and I think we were able to just really nail down a lot of the basics and get so much experience in the ring that now when I come to a show, I'm certainly a bit rusty and maybe not as strong as I was before, but I remember the feeling. I also have a great group of horses that I got to know in that year, so the consistency helps a lot.
Tell us about Evergate Stables.
Yes. So Evergate Stables started, I always was just at a traditional training barn with a trainer who had multiple students, and absolutely loved that. When I started coming on the road, we decided that it made more sense to set up my own LLC. That started as JKG Farms, which are my initials. And then eventually I realized if we're going to be doing this at a bigger scale, and if I ever want to incorporate sales or breeding young horses, it would be nice to have an establishment that feels a little bit separate from me and what I'm doing in the medical field or just in other places in my life. So we came up with the name, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, and then it all just went from there.
You're president of that. How does that work with you also being in medical school?
So I have great support. I kind of oversee everything on a high level, but I have a great team of people that manage the horses, help manage the budget. So I really am just there to ensure that everything is running and check in with my parents. Of course, I'm so grateful to have their support of Evergate, but it really is the team behind me that does the everyday stuff.
What's your favorite part of it? I read that you really like developing the young horses, and that's so exciting.
Cool. So that's something I haven't gotten into as much, I think, as I've learned to step up to the big level. I've been fortunate to have horses that have already done it and know their way around, and you still have to develop those partnerships. It's easier than starting with a young horse. My fiance is very into that, developed one of his top horses, Lordan, from 6-year-old. So it's been really fun to watch. I think for me, the most fun part is just seeing them grow. When they come into our program, we're obviously looking at so many different variables, like their feed, their physio work, how much we jump them. So to just see them grow and our partnership grow is really satisfying.
What do you look for in a horse when you're thinking about buying one or riding one? What are you looking for?
So I think a lot of things. I think the first thing is scope, ability to cross the jumps. That for me is something that I'm not a man. I'm not someone who can really clench onto them and push them to the other side. So scope, and then I would say brain is probably the second thing. Just a horse that is willing to take a mistake or be there with you throughout the course and not feel like you're forcing them to do anything. At the end of the day, we can't make any of them do anything they don't want to do. But I think for me, particularly in the place in my life where I'm at, the brains is a huge thing. And then carefulness is obviously an added benefit. But that I am okay with foregoing if it means that I get around safely and have a positive experience.
Yeah. And how long do you think that partnership takes to develop?
It totally depends. So my top stallion now, Capital Colnardo, my trainer Harry Smolders had been riding before. And I'd say it took us 6 months to really get to know each other. We used last Florida just to get in the ring, and I had to understand what cues he needed from me in the turns, how to best support him at the jumps. And then other horses you get on, and it's like you've known each other forever. You've had that experience. Like it's really cool. And then the one I've had the longest kicks, it took us about a year to really understand his program and the feed that he needed. And then once you have it, I'd say it stays pretty consistent most of the time. And that's a really good feeling.
Our Nobody Told Me conversation continues in just a moment. You know, much like our extraordinary guests on Nobody Told Me, many Air Medcare Network members have their own inspiring stories to share.
They never thought the unthinkable would actually happen to them, but when it did, they were relieved to have their Air Medcare Network, AMCN, membership.
If a medical emergency arises, Air Medcare Network provides members with world-class air transport services to the nearest appropriate hospital with no out-of-pocket expenses.
More and more, insurance fails to cover the full cost of a medical emergency. Secure protection and financial peace of mind for your entire household by joining Air Medcare Network today. Memberships cost as low as $65 a year and cover 38 states.
Plus, right now, as a Nobody Told Me listener, you'll get a $10 Visa gift card with a new 1-year membership.
Visit airmedcarenetwork.com/nobody and use offer code NOBODY.
Again, for a $10 Visa gift card with a new 1-year membership, just visit airmedcarenetwork.com/nobody and use offer code NOBODY.
What about giving up? I mean, have you ever had those moments where you have a bad round or, something happens where you just think, you know what?
What am I doing? Yeah. What am I doing? Yes, all the time. All the time. I have those moments all the time. And I have to remember, I think, not to let one round influence a choice like that. It is so huge, I think. But yeah, I have those moments all the time, especially when I feel like I'm able to do both, but I'm tired at times. And so thinking about, okay, well, I'm doing both, but why? Am I satisfied doing both? And I think horses will always be a big part of my life, but how much I compete is in the air.
So many riders deal with so much fear. And I know I've really struggled with that over the years, that you want it so badly, but at the same time, you get scared. And how have you dealt with that?
I got scared for so many years of my jumping career. I'd say that's something that dissipated once I had a bunch of positive experiences in the ring. I think the more that you have those experiences to build on and hold on to, you can go in the ring feeling like, okay, it's possible to happen again. But I was scared. Listen, I would go up to every jump and think, I'm going to crash through this one. And that's a scary feeling going in the ring. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help your horse. And you don't feel good about what you're going in there to do. I think I worked with a great mental coach, Peter Crone, who really helped me recognize that whatever I was believing about the future, about falling off or getting hurt, is just things that I'm projecting onto what could happen. And if I'm thinking that those things are possible to happen, they're actually more likely to happen. Whereas if I were to believe that everything was going to go great, I was going to have a lovely round, the horse was going to feel amazing, that's equally just as possible as the other narrative I created for myself. Neither of them are true. So why not go with the one that's more positive?
But that's true for every aspect of life, not just riding. It helps anywhere.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell us more about what role mindfulness has played in your life.
Yes. So it's played kind of an evolving role. I am currently not a daily meditator. It's something that I would love to do. I've gone back and forth in phases. I think that really, as humans, we were developed as a species to basically have fear for everything. We're looking out for predators, trying to survive. In our modern day, a lot of us are fortunate enough to not have things that are everyday life threatening. Okay, COVID is scary and weird. I don't even know what to say about that. But if we use those feelings of like stress or anxiety and project them onto everyday things, it's easy to feel stressed all the time. Right. And I certainly struggle with that. And it's really just, I think, the more you can be present in the moment that you're in and the less you're thinking about future and anxiety and worry, the more satisfied you'll be. Because if you're always thinking about what's going to happen in the future, then you're never actually exactly where you are. Like I wouldn't be sitting here in this chair having a conversation with you two if I was thinking about the rest of my day.
Exactly. So how do you ground yourself then when you start to feel like you're getting away from that present moment and you're focusing on the future?
The one thing I found, I think within the last 6 months, is breathing. Yeah, I think like breath is something that, and we're learning respiratory physiology right now, which is super cool. But it's something that's just so constant. Like your body needs it to get oxygen delivered to your tissues. And it is with us through our whole life. And if you can really center yourself on your breathing, I think your sympathetic nervous system can settle down. You can go into parasympathetic mode and just really tune into your body. I think things like sports like yoga are also really beneficial because that's really like feeling your body and being exactly where you are.
Talking about sports and physical preparation, what do you do to be able to stay in top shape so that you can handle a horse competing at the top level?
Totally. So I will say it has evolved over my time. I think when I was riding full time during my gap year, I would work out, but not as much because I felt like the experience that I was getting on the horse were so beneficial and I was really working the exact muscles I needed. Now that I'm back and forth from school, I try and fit in 3 to 4 days a week of something else. I think nothing really replicates being on the horse, particularly for some of the muscle groups, but I've always been a huge fan of Pilates, classical Pilates. For core strength, I think it's great. A lot of riders have bad backs too. I've struggled with my spinal health, and just keeping your core strong so that you can be strong on the horse and off the horse is really important.
The Palm Beach Masters Series is equestrian sport at its finest, and Nobody Told Me is proud to be a media partner of the Palm Beach Masters Series.
The world's best show jumping athletes have been gathering at Deer Ridge Farms in Wellington, Florida since late January.
History is being made with the world's top-ranked horses and riders competing at 3 world-class events: the World Cup, Nations Cup, and Palm Beach Open.
The stakes are heightened with tickets to the Olympic Games on the line. Wave your flag and cheer on your nation.
Get to know the only sport where men and women compete as equals. Experience the incredible partnerships between riders and their horses.
It's all happening at Deer Ridge Farms, a picturesque setting in the heart of South Florida.
And you can watch wall-to-wall coverage of the 2020 Palm Beach Masters Series online.
Visit palmbeachmasters.com from March 10th to 15th and be part of the action.
What are your goals for this year? And talk to us a little bit about your horses and who you think you have the best chance with going forward.
Totally. So my goals in the sport have always been, or not always, but kind of as I've gone through this process and iterations of what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my professional career to look like? I would love to be on more Nations Cup teams. I think representing Team USA is super important. I had the opportunity to do that in Jalapa, Mexico once, I think 2 years ago with my Good Horse Pumped Up Kicks. And then also I would love to make it to World Cup finals at some point. I don't know when or how that will happen with everything coming up with med school, but that's kind of always a target I've had my eyes on, which is fun. In terms of horses, so my group is a little bit smaller now, just that I've started school. I have Capital Colnardo, who we call him Cody in the barn. He's a 15-year-old stallion that my trainer previously rode. He loves big grass fields, which speaking about fear, I used to be fearful of big grass fields because I thought I was going to fall off a lot.
No, I did too. That was a big fear of mine. I've never heard anybody else say that before.
And I think I expressed it. I was like, oh, but everything's so far away. No one can yell at me if I'm doing something bad. And Gary's like, well, what? I never yell at you anyways. Why would you want me to be yelling at you? He's very silent. His training is amazing. But he's very much he's like, I want you to develop the confidence where when you go in the ring, you know that you're able to cue the horse in a way that I don't have to be telling you every step of the way. I think that's a big difference than some other training systems in the US where they're kind of holding your hand every step of the way. Is not wrong, but he's like, I want you to develop these skills so that when I'm not here, you can go in the ring and feel confident and know the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really cool. And so I did my first 145 without him, without a trainer. I had my amazing barn manager, Chris Howard, there. But that was a really cool moment because I was like, wow, you've taught me enough where I can go out and do this on my own and feel confident. Building that confidence for anything in life is so valuable.
What does the Palm Beach Masters Series mean to you? Because we're a media partner with the Palm Beach Masters Series.
Absolutely.
So we'd love to get your take on that.
Yes. So Palm Beach Masters has been an absolutely incredible addition to Wellington. I think that the first year I went, my then boyfriend, now fiance, won the Grand Prix, the World Cup qualifier, and that was so special for both of us. All of our families were there. The environment is just set up so well that anyone can have a good time. People who don't know horses, people who enjoy watching, want to have good food. And then the arena and stabling is just second to none. You go in that ring and you feel like your round is special. And I think that really helps as a competitor and for our horses to feel like they're going out there and really performing their best. It's second to none.
And talk to us about your show jumping team too, the Paris Panthers. Oh my gosh. And what does that even involve, having a team?
Yes. So the team is a lot of management and work. I am fortunate to have great people that are helping with that. We have amazing sponsors, Maui Gym, Edmiston, NetJets, been longtime partners and really enjoying working with them. But the team is comprised of 6 riders. I'm the under 25 rider. And so I've been able to work with and get to know some of these really top athletes who I admire in the sport, like Gregory Wathele, or now we have Penelope Leprovo on our team and Dara Kenny. It's a lot of management, though. It's figuring out who has the best horses to go to which venues, when are they going to be in top shape. So it's been fun to get to know that side of the sport a bit.
What is it like, or how would you describe the competition between you and the other riders? I mean, you're friends, but you're also competitors. So how does
your fiance too?
Yeah,
how does that work?
So it's really interesting. I think for me, when I go in the ring, it's all about me and my horse and what we can do or can't do. So I always have kind of a target of what I'm trying to do. Obviously, trying to work on something specific or go clean in a class or work on my speed. I'm generally not a very fast rider, and that's something I'm working on. And even saying that, like, I'm not a fast rider, like, okay, well, who says that? Like, I can be fast.
Yeah, exactly.
You are a fast rider.
Yeah.
You are a fast rider.
Exactly.
You're faster than me.
But it's so fun. And I'm lucky to have some good friends who I compete against as well. And it's never really been about competing with them. It's more about achieving what I can, particularly given the unique circumstances. So, and then it's fun. My fiance obviously does it at a bit different of a level. He's going to the Olympics this year, hopefully. And the first time I met him, actually, I beat him in a meter 30 class. And that was a huge achievement for me. That is, we said, it's the last time I ever beat him. But it's really fun to like see his journey and support him. And if we're in a class together, I'm obviously always cheering him on.
Yeah. Talk to us about that. You're recently engaged.
Yes,
so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We've been able to do this sport together as long as we've been together, and it's just so fun and one of many things we enjoy doing together. So it's really special, I think, now also to be able to think about the future and share like our passion in a more substantial way. So we're super excited. I was very surprised, but obviously we had discussed wanting to spend a life together. So I'm
So you said yes.
I did say yes. I was crying and then I said yes.
Well, that's
you made him wait for a second.
I did. I made him wait for a little bit. Yeah.
Our Nobody Told Me interview continues in just a minute after we tell you about our sponsor, trustandwill.com, which features estate planning simplified. An estate plan outlines how you'd like to care for the things that are most important to you, like your kids, your pets, and your home.
Have you been procrastinating about finishing your will? Thanks to trustandwill.com, you can finish in just 10 minutes for all 50 states completely online. And they have people available to instantly answer any questions you might have.
Laura and I are a mother-daughter duo, and as you can imagine, I want to protect her and the rest of my family in case something bad and unexpected happens to me. I couldn't believe how easy the trustandwill.com website is to navigate. It walks you through the whole process, helping you decide what's best for you at whatever stage of life you're in.
Seriously, it's so easy. Do it for your family. Do it for your loved ones. Guardianships start at $39, wills at $69, and trusts at $399. Gain peace of mind by protecting your assets in your family.
Take 10% off by going to trustandwill.com/nobodytoldme or entering promo code nobodytoldme at trustandwill.com.
Again, take 10% off by going to trustandwill.com/nobodytoldme or enter promo code nobodytoldme at trustandwill.com.
You know, our show is called Nobody Told Me, and we always like to ask our guests what their Nobody Told Me lesson is, but we'd like to ask you several Nobody Told Me things. So what is it that nobody told you about the importance of family and the support of your family?
So I think growing up, my mom really instilled in us that we were a five-some, like a core unit, and I am so grateful that she did that. I think no one told me that when you get older, obviously it gets more challenging geographically to see your family. So really making time to call them or plan trips so that you are all together in the same place and keeping those connections.
And what about with riding? What did nobody tell you?
Oh,
so many things. I'm sure.
Nobody told me that it would be something I would never want to give up. I mean, nobody would have told me that anyways, but I think I just didn't know how incredible the power of working with the horses is and I can't see my life without it being in it somehow. I don't know what that looks like. Yeah, I don't think anybody told me how special it would be and what a journey it would be and how much patience you need to. Finding the right horse, developing that partnership with them, doing everything you can to set up for success, but then sometimes it doesn't happen. You have an off day, the horse has an off day, you barely knock a rail. So I think that patience too.
What is it that nobody told you about medical school?
I guess everyone did tell me it would be a lot of material. What did no one tell me about medical school? I think no one told me how exciting it would be. Like every class is interesting. Every class is geared towards the human body. And it feels like no one told me how much it would build on itself. So like the first course, I felt so lost. I was like, where is the stomach? Where is the liver? I don't even know. Like the heart has 4 chambers. Great. Okay. That's all I know. And now we're learning the physiology of every organ system. And you're like, oh, well, that's why this is here. And it works with this and embryology. And so I think no one told me how much it would start to come together and how exciting that process would be.
And as our final question then, what is your nobody told me lesson about just life in general? And you can take that wherever you want.
Yes. I think nobody told me that as you become an adult, you have to kind of cultivate your own confidence in whatever it is that you're doing. As a kid, I think we look to our parents for reassurance and guidance. And if you enter adulthood and don't learn to cultivate that for yourself, you might go out looking for that in a partner or in an activity or in results. And it really needs to be something that you cultivate for yourself and are confident, like standing in your own shoes and having your own ground with whatever it is in life. So that's something I'm continuing to work on. And yeah, it applies to everything, I guess.
How can people connect with you on social media or the internet? How can they follow you?
So I think the best way to follow me is probably on Instagram at Jennifer K. Gates, but we also have our evergatestables.com website. So for people that want to learn more about the horses, that's a great resource, as well as our Instagram where we post a lot of fun stories about the horses and their personalities. So
yeah, you have a really special Instagram. I follow a lot of barns, but you guys you guys make it so I get to know the horses. And it's really special.
There's nothing to hide. And I think that's the most fun part of the sport for me is like getting to know the animals.
Yeah, and they all have personalities. And so many different barns or so many people just act like they're animals and this is their breeding and this is how old they are. And it's nice that you appreciate that about them. And it's not just all about the competition for you. It seems like it's just, part of your life and you just love the animals. So it's really nice.
So true.
And it's been so amazing to talk to you. And thank you so much for inviting us here. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's a blast.
Thank you. Our thanks to Jennifer Gates, one of the top show jumping athletes who've been competing in the Palm Beach Masters Series at Deer Ridge Farms in Wellington, Florida. And remember, you can watch wall-to-wall coverage of the 2020 Palm Beach Masters Series online through Sunday, March 15th.
Just visit palmbeachmasters.com and be a part of the action. I'm Laura Owens.
And I'm Jan Black.
And you've been listening to Nobody Told Me. Thank you so much for joining us.